This week, we are talking about anger and irritability and that desire for control that can often come with anxiety. And this is near and dear to my heart because, as much as I hate to admit it, I definitely was irritable. I would get angry. I was very controlling during that time of heightened anxiety when I was really experiencing a lot of disordered anxiety, panic attack, intrusive thoughts, driving anxiety. Was not my best moments. And I often would go to bed at night just like going over the day and like beating myself up, which was not helpful, but felt like in a way like I should punish myself. Gosh, I knew better. So let's get into it. I'm going to read this question. Somebody said, how can I keep my anxiety from manifesting as anger and control issues? When I'm on edge, I get so cranky because I need to have a feeling of control. But nothing feels right because nothing in my head feels right either. So my family always gets mad if I'm snappy because they won't just do the thing correctly. And I can't communicate it well enough to explain why I'm snappy. And my heart goes out to that person that wrote it because like I could have written that same thing. You know, that one sentence too. Like nothing feels right because my head doesn't feel right. And so it's like, for you and your family, like they can't do it right because it's nothing that they're doing. It's you're really shaken up. It's your thoughts, you know, and also just saying it's your thoughts is like so, can seem so minimizing because it feels so horrible to feel so on edge, but that feeling, nothing feels right in my head. So that's actually in our head is where we can kind of settle down, not actually from the outside. It's not outside in, it's inside out. So one thing that was jumping out with me is, you know, you said, I need to have a feeling of control. And I think what's coming through for me there is, I would feel better if I settled down. I feel out of control with these like revved up thoughts, you know, shaken up. I had a snow globe. Oh, here it is. You know, when we have all these thoughts, feeling really anxious, and then we have thoughts about feeling anxious and thoughts about physical symptoms, we get shaken up. And that doesn't feel good. And so we can think, calm down, which I totally get. Like if I'm feeling shaken up and then my kids are like wild in the back seat or stuff's going on, that's my son and I. But we settle. You know, nothing feels right in our head. But what it can do is we can set down our thoughts. They settle all on their own. I'm going to go back to this question, back to my notes. You know, I love that recognition of there is nothing for them to do correctly. And what came up for me was sometimes when I get like a bit anxious or like taking life too seriously or just taking anything too seriously, it will sometimes manifest in like wanting to control like the kitchen. And I remember a couple months ago, I was in one of those states and I hadn't really actually been like that with my partner. And I did something and he looked at me and I'm like, don't look at me like I'm crazy. And I've never said that to him. And he's like, I'm not saying you're crazy. You are very particular. You're being very particular right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, when he said that, it snapped me back and I was able to see that particularness, that desire for control was me this is with grasping at straws, like, you know, when it was just me shaken up. And he said it in such a loving way and I could see, oh my God, I'm shaken up. And it was kind of like an aha moment, like I saw myself from the outside. And I just saw that I was feeling my thinking, that I was just shaken up and that nothing was as big of a deal. Like that's what came through for me. Oh. And that's what I notice when I feel on edge. It's just a loving signal that I've got revved up thinking, a loving signal to soften, you know, because sometimes if I'm feeling shaken up, got a lot of thinking going on, and then we're in the kitchen and like maybe the hood vent's on and he's cooking and I might think like he's not doing it the right way and like not cleaning the right way and not doing this the right way, I start to not feel good like this, you know, like, well, we are able to squeeze our hands so tight but it starts to hurt, like that on edge, that snappiness, that like butting heads with people. And the pain is actually feedback, letting us know, soften up, like, you know, just like if I sat in this chair for too long in the same position with my legs crossed, it would start to ache a little bit, letting me know, like, hey, switch it up. So where I think going back to the question of how can I keep my anxiety from manifesting as anger and control, I'm wondering if it's noticing it earlier, noticing that irritability, that loss of contentment. Like that's an early signal, an early love letter, letting you know, hey, you're taking your thoughts too seriously. Like innocently, we innocently misuse this beautiful gift of thought. We can get revved up and we have this invisible thinking, but there's no need to beat ourselves up. Like it's enough just to notice. And that's what I do is I notice without judgment. I used to have a lot of judgment and I used to miss it. And now I see it just as a signal. Like when I'm feeling separate, irritated, annoyed, I think like I'm annoyed with them. No, I'm just annoyed. I'm just irritated. And really all that is I've got a lot of thinking. I do that because it's like I'm shaken up. If I start to feel irritated with my partner or my kids or that because when it's irritation, it's almost this like, I cannot handle this. Like I'm on my breaking point. I'm going to like, ugh. No, that's not true either. I'm just shaken up. So it is this loving signal to like, and it's pretty cool because when we can recognize that, we just have that natural tendency to come back to the present. And I realize like, oh, nothing's that serious. And I get excited to settle, to let new thoughts come, because new thoughts always bring new feelings. And sometimes I settle fast. Sometimes I might feel on edge. It depends on the buildup. It depends on the day. But I know that I always come back into balance. And much faster so when I just kind of accept it. And sometimes it might look like if I am shaken up and I've had a really busy day and I'm kind of feeling particular in the kitchen, I know I might settle if I go up to my room and just like watch a show by myself and read my books. And then I can come down refreshed. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, do any of you, I'm sorry, there's a loud truck, but I like this video, so I'm not going to redo it. Let me know in the comments if you have experienced anger and that desire for control or that irritability and what has helped. Because honestly, it is just enough to notice. We don't have to go on to that shame spiral or analyze. There's a lot of loud cars. So I hope this was helpful.